Hello, Feely Humans. Welcome to another episode of You, Me, Empathy. My name is Known Wells, and I am the creator of this show. I'm also the founder of the Feely Human Collective, a space, a community where we can be witness to the whole of each other, where we can learn more and grapple with the wondrous superpowers of empathy, vulnerability, and emotional curiosity. Learn more about Feely Human at feelyhuman.co and join our membership, feelyhuman.co/membership. Check it out. Join us. It's wonderful. This is episode 253 on toxic positivity and the privilege of being disengaged with my special guest, Lauren Denitzio. Lauren is the lead songwriter and front person for one of my favorite bands, Warriors, and they have a new record out called Warm Blanket, and it's great. It's wonderful. It's very different from previous records, and I highly, highly recommend it. You can order it now on Bandcamp, and best yet, get the vinyl at your favorite local independent record shop. In this conversation, Lauren and I gab about shaking the Etch-a-Sketch of our lives, how Lauren sparks creativity and hope and snark in a world that sometimes feels like a hellscape. As I mentioned, toxic positivity and the privilege of being disengaged from the stuff that make us uncomfortable, e.g. politics, racism, our own privilege, bias, and emotions. And like I said, we talk about Warm Blanket, the latest Warriors record, which, as I said, is wonderful. Really enjoyed this conversation. I really appreciate Lauren for joining me in this Feely space. Lauren is wonderful. Give them a follow. Warriors Music everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And Lauren has a newsletter called Get It Together, and it's great. And I link that in the show notes at feelyhuman.co. Before we get to the episode, I just wanted to remind you all that You, Me, Empathy is winding down. I've been doing this show for over about 5.5 years, and I've loved every moment of it. The winding down isn't a reflection of me being sick of this show or not proud of it. I'm very proud of this project. I love it. I've been so lucky and grateful and honored to be witness to so many beautiful stories and beautiful humans, Lauren included. And I'm just creatively, I'm wanting to change things up. I have a thing I'm publishing next year. I want to focus on finishing that up this year. I want to do some more writing and reading, spend more time building and growing the Feely Human community, membership community, and spend more time with my loves, Jessica and the animals and that sort of thing. So today's not the last episode, of course. There will be weekly episodes through early August. And there's some amazing people coming up on the show, including Lauren, Susie Bogus, Brandy Stanley, Tracy Medeiros-Bagan, Jane Louie, Jake Crawford, Christina McKelvey, Tracy Kato Kiriyama, Jamie Marich, Emmy Neatfield, Kimmy Culp, Ruchira Gupta, and Benson Shum. So lots to look forward to over the next couple of months. But yeah, thank you for being a part of this journey with me. If you want to keep connected, make sure to join my newsletter at feelyhuman.co. And best yet, join the membership community. There's a free tier as well as a paid tier, and we offer sliding scale. Join us. Join the fellow mushy-hearted Feely humans. I think you'll love it. Any hoozles. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this Feely journey with me. I love you, and enjoy this episode of the pod, episode 253 on toxic positivity and the privilege of being disengaged with Lauren Denitzio.
La la la, you, me, Empathy. Yeah. La, la, la.
Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, the official podcast of the Feely Human Collective. On this show, we explore the struggles, the triumphs, the brights, and the darks we face as humans, trying to be human on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. You, Me, Empathy was created so that we can be witness to our collective humanity through the lens of empathy, vulnerability, and emotional curiosity. We aim to destigmatize mental health, lead fiercely with our hearts, feel our feelings without shame and judgment, and edit known, you dummy, and share our courageous stories so that others may feel less alone and more connected as Feely humans. You, Me, Empathy is a brave place designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Because each of us, in all of our kaleidoscopic parts, makes up a magical whole that deserves to be seen. Today, I am elated to be here with artist, illustrator, newsletter writer, songwriter for the band Warriors, and donut eater. It's Lauren Denitzio. Hello, Lauren.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going all right. I really stumbled through that intro today, and I'm just going to leave that shit in because humans are fallible, and I'm feeling the fallibility today. Yeah. So we always kick off the show, Lauren, with an emotional check-in. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling like the past couple days have been running a mile a minute, but I was feeling anxious yesterday, but I'm not anymore, so that feels nice.
Okay. All right. How does that work for you? Like feeling anxious one day, like what changes in terms of like transitioning from anxiety to not anxiety?
Oh, usually it's sleep, honestly.
Okay.
Usually or something good or distracting happening. And then it just sort of goes away. Yeah, I've gotten better with it over the years. I can kind of pivot away from it. But yeah, when things are really busy, it's really easy to get kind of anxious. But
sure.
But yeah, I'm excited to be here. I feel like there was a lot going on. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna record this. We're gonna have this conversation, and
maybe an opportunity to slow down a bit. Like structured time to kind of like, I'm going to chat with a total stranger, but maybe it feels grounding and a little bit calming, hopefully, eventually.
Sure. Yeah. I definitely get that vibe from your work. So that'd be accurate.
How are so I read, I mentioned before we got recording, the past day, I've been reading your newsletter. I need to become a paid subscriber, but I read some of the free posts, and I read back to, I guess it was in January, talking about your ins and outs for the year. How are those going?
Oh, they're going okay. They're going okay. Yeah. I think that setting those intentions at the beginning of the year is always difficult because I feel like no matter who you are, you're always a little overambitious. But I do feel pretty good about how a lot of those have been going. So
good.
It's like I remember most of them.
Yeah, that's okay. It's a lot.
I feel like I've been doing pretty well.
That's good. I mean, you had audiobooks on there, which is great for ins.
Sure.
Listen to any good ones lately?
Not lately. I've been listening to more podcasts.
Sure.
In more of a short form way. That's been working better for me, but I'm trying to think of the last audiobook. Well, I think the first one I listened to more recently was that book, I'm Glad My Mom Died.
Oh yeah.
I listened to
McCurdy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so she reads it too, which is always nice. So
yeah. Nice. And I read that on one of your outs, you wanted to worry less about what other people think. How's that going? I mean, I mentioned because I struggle with that too. So
yeah,
I'm there with you.
It's going okay. I think in the wake of a record coming out, I'm doing pretty well. with
Mm-hmm.
with not worrying about that.
That's great.
But yeah, yeah, it helps to just stay busy too, because I think when you put something out into the world, or you make a new thing, or there's some reason that you're more public about something, it's really easy to start worrying about what other people think when you are on the internet all the time, or just or just scrolling, or like not doing what you want to be doing. So I've definitely been staying busy, which is helping.
Yeah. I mean, in your new record, Warm Blanket, came out April 7th. It's very new. It's just like a couple of weeks gone, and I guess we could talk about the record, but like what I noticed about it, and what you've sort of talked about this record, it's very different from, I mean, not very different. It's different from previous albums, and I could see how that could potentially add to some of those feelings we were just talking about too. Just being different, like, oh, how will this thing be received, because it is a little different than what I'm used to.
Sure, yeah, and I think there's just a lot of context around it, that if someone were to hear the record, not having any idea what the previous records sound like, not having any idea what I've kind of said about it or how I made it, that's definitely concerning for me. It's hard for me to just let people hear it without necessarily knowing the context. But
interesting. What does that mean exactly to you? The letting people know the context.
I think that it's not a record that I would typically say is like, oh, this is what Worrier sounds like. Mm-hmm. Here, this is an example of the music that I make. This is the first thing you should listen to, because it's not that. So I feel like it can come off as insecure if I'm like, no, but I recorded it at home by myself. Like, don't judge me for, but they're just songs and it's fine. But I need to let that. You're that.
You need to know the breadth of me as a human. Yeah. I don't know if this like perfectly relates, but like I mentioned to you before we got recording that I was in Colorado for a few days. Not a great flyer. Flying is anxiety riddled nightmare for me, being in the fart coffin in the sky. And as I was like, I'm like, I always pick like the cheapest possible seat. And so I'm always in the middle. And as I was like taking off my backpack, it's such a tight aisle. I'm just like shifting, and I accidentally hit this woman in the face with my hand. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she couldn't look me in the eye. She just like was shaking her head. And the next 2 hours for the flight, of course, like I'm internalizing, like she thinks I'm a dick. Like I am a dick in her mind now. And like I have this feeling that like she's like, she needs to learn my story and understand me as a human, right? Like, do you relate to that?
Yeah. Just in the sense of, if you only get one chance in front
one
of
chance
people, you only get, what is it, first impression, that can really say a lot. So I think when you know that your first impression is not your ideal first impression, whether that's like accidentally slapping someone in the face or somebody hearing like the song that I don't think is the best first impression, that I definitely relate to that, and it makes me want to crawl out of my skin. So I'm learning, I guess.
Always learning. So with this record being maybe a little different, like why'd you make the record? Like what is it, like, if you're gonna like think about sort of the core of what this record means to you, like, I guess let's just start with the first question. Why'd you make this record? Like, what does it mean to you?
I mean, I think the record definitely means more experimentation. And I think it's an example of the kind of songwriting and recording and demo making that I have been doing kind of behind the scenes for the past few years. And a lot of just learning and making music for fun and making music outside the context of a band that has 2 guitars, bass, drums, you know? And so it was really, it was a way for me to think about music and recording in a little bit different way, and having the opportunity to put out a record and having something like that pressed to vinyl, through the support of a really lovely record label and friend, that, yeah, I didn't want it to just be like, here's some demos I made, that it has more of a conceptual through line than that. And I think it was definitely a way for me to kind of reset what Warriors was doing. And in the way that, you know, it's certainly a band. Like if you see us live, it's a guitar driven rock band, you know? But it is my songwriting. At the end of the day, it is my songwriting, and it is a representation of me as an artist, as a songwriter. And I wanted to maybe like shake the Etch-a-Sketch a little bit.
Ooh,
you know,
I like that. Yeah, good analogy.
Millennial reference there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to kind of say like, hey, wait, okay, like, please take the 4-piece pop punk band out of your head now, because that's not what I have been making. That's not what I make anymore. And that's not the way that I collaborate with people also. So yeah, this record was definitely like a bit of a reset that I'm excited about.
That is exciting. And like what I think about when you say that, the reset piece, the sort of changing thing up, like these are things we need to do as humans, right? We need to kind of like, we need to shake that Etch-a-Sketch because, and I would love to hear your perspective on this album from sort of like how you're changing as a human perspective, but like this idea that we get in a thing and we have a certain perspective, and then we start to be perceived and loved and cherished for that perspective, right? The pop punk band Warriors. That can be the sort of a place of confirmation bias a little bit. That could be a place of like self-fulfilling prophecy a bit. That can sort of, anchor us down in a certain sort of framework that could be challenging, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So from like a human perspective, you as the songwriter, what is going on in your sort of heart and your human change that's happening in your world, like when you're wanting to kind of shake things up for this band, for your songwriting?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's taking a better look at like exactly the type of music I want to be making and exactly the I want to say vibe, but that's really vague. But
do you mean good vibes only? We'll get to
that. Yeah. So like that is a thing. It's like, how do I exist as a creative person, or how does my creative practice exist in the day-to-day functions of my life, when it's not a standard band that like has practice on a regular basis and writes music together and then plays shows all the time, right. We are very much a band that I write and collaborate with other people, and then we have some rehearsals, and then we go on tour, and like it's not, I don't know, it's I also write music and record and make covers and write with other people, and it just looks very different than it did when I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much more a integrated part of my life. And I think, yeah, so the record is, I think, trying to get at that a little bit more.
What, like, when you think about this record and it being maybe a little bit different, what are the feelings behind it? Like what's going on in your heart as you're putting these songs together?
Yeah, a lot of the songs are very my take on certain kinds of indie rock that I don't really like. And this very, the chill wave playlisting vibe that exists these days, and the things that seem to be more algorithmically successful, and certain trends I'm seeing that really just make me want to claw my eyes out. It's like this feeling of like writing about complicated things, writing about emotions, but sounding like you're on Xanax, like sounding like you can't scream anything and that you're not like actually angry.
Which is what you're opposed to, which is what you have distaste for, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not somebody that only wants to listen to like angry, loud music.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't get with the like super chill, like psych rock, like,
sure, I get it,
watered down folk stuff. I can't. And like,
and why do you think that is? Like, what does that say about you that you can't get down with that?
I mean, I think it's definitely the cynic. I mean, I'm jaded and cynical, and I'm very much like, have we noticed the world is on fire? Like, how are you not? And I think I see certain artists or certain types of music as a representation of extreme privilege, and that I think really gets me going. I think,
right?
Because it's not about being able to like, oh, you shouldn't be able to write a beautiful song where you're relaxing. Like, it's not that. It's when clearly you are not really worried about very much in your life,
right?
Or other people.
The privilege not to engage, or the privilege not to use our responsibility as humans to put ourselves in uncomfortable spaces to grow and to perspective take, all of that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So that's definitely very me. Like, I get very sarcastically side eye about that.
Mm-hmm. Are you, I mean, you mentioned a cynic, and also I know, it feels like in some of your writing, maybe this is incorrect, but you feel like some sort of not a utopian, but like aspire or hopeful for better.
Sure. Yeah. I think that is the complicated thing for me, is that I definitely I do believe in a better world, and I believe in positive change. I believe in restorative justice. I have hope for things, while also being kind of desensitized to things as well. Like when people have conversations with me about like, oh, did you hear about this terrible thing? Or like, this politician did this, or like this, this terrible thing happened. I'm like, okay. Like,
yeah, that's just the white noise.
Right. It's like, I expected that. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, literal white noise of like our fabric of our society. Yeah. It's numbing for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel you. Like I am overwhelmed often. And what I tell myself and what is helpful for me sometimes is like, overwhelm is not useful. Like it makes sense that I'm, numbed and I'm pissed off and I'm angry. And also I have privilege and I have to figure out a way to like enact some change or uplift or support whatever, right?
Sure.
That's how I approach it, because I want my heart and my empathy and my compassion and my activism to be useful.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think the overwhelm is not useful part is interesting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To pivot from being upset or overwhelmed by that white noise.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you, as someone, I mean, you're existing, we exist in the world, and the world is a hellscape.
Mm-hmm.
And you also exist in the music industry, which in some ways is a hellscape too.
It's also a hellscape.
Double hellscapes. Look, I see a double hellscape. It's like a double rainbow. But,
yeah.
How do you, Lauren, keep writing? How do you keep making the thing that you love to make in a world that seems so hellscapey, right? And you, as being, a lefty, as you've called yourself, I am also a lefty. In a world where the ambient chill noise is, like selling, platinum records or whatever, right? Like, how do you, I guess, hold on to your cynicism, but like try to have like a smidge of hope too? How do you do that?
Well, I guess I definitely do that by trying to push myself to make the best thing I can, or like the most ambitious, the most fulfilling music for me that I can be excited about, and that I think is a reflection of me, and not just trying to do the thing that might be popular or might be the thing that would, like, quote unquote, work in the music industry or something. Because I think that the most exciting music I listen to or find out about are, it can look like all sorts of things. So I think the fact that I do feel like I've continued to move forward and make new and better things by myself, like in my own body of work, like that helps. I feel like if I didn't think that like the next record and the next record were fun and exciting to me, I think I would just feel like, I'll just make demos at home. I don't care, But the fact that I am so excited about what I've been making makes it easier to deal with the hellscape, I think. So
I love that. And part of that hellscape is also like, I've got a new record and I need to promote it.
Yeah.
A bit. How do you face that? Because I know that I struggle with that. Like, I make things. I'm a creative person. I put them out into the world, and then I'm like, oh, God, I have to like tell people, fuck. Like I'm just like, I'm like rendered a little bit, maybe jaded or still, with it. How do you face that?
I mean, I got over it a long time ago, I think. Sure. I also try to remember that not like the majority of people who follow you do not see everything you post. Yeah. So when I feel like I'm being annoying and I'm like, this must come off as self-centered or self-involved, that people inevitably will respond, be like, I didn't know yet. I just found out. I didn't know that you did this. So I'm like, okay, It's
a good reminder. I like that. Yeah.
I think at a certain point when you make things, that there's a way to tell people about them without coming off like you think you're the best thing since sliced bread. I just try to be excited about what I'm putting out there and making things around that I think are fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope I don't come off like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just at this point, I'm just like, well, this is my life. I have to tell people about this, or I can't pay my bills. So,
Yeah. And that's where sort of like the rubber meets the road a bit, is like you have to, to pay your bills, you have to tell people about it. And I from what I've seen and been witness to and how you talk about it, it's you saying like, look, there's this thing I made, I love it, I hope you love it too, check it out. Like, and that feels genuine and real, and not like you're following some sort of, this record will like cure your 10 things in your life that will make you feel better and produce more in your, whatever. Like, I get those emails every day, and you're not that, which is additive to the world. Yeah. And so you make this record. I think you had said something along the lines in your newsletter. You asked the question, you posed the question to yourself, to your community: who am I when a project ends?
Oh yeah.
How are you holding that right now?
Well, the project of this record, quote unquote, ended as another one is picking right back up. So I'm lucky to not be in a space of like, okay, now what do I do? There's a lot happening, but I do think that there's the moment of having to hold space for the thing that you made and having to know that it's just out in the world and you can't do anything about it now. That's an interesting moment. Sometimes I forget that people can now listen to the whole thing, they
can, and on vinyl too.
No, I mean, I'm doing okay. I think it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning about just like keeping busy. I just keep going. Just keep, but not in a like distract myself kind of way.
Okay.
That could be reading a book.
Sure. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. Cause it can be, as like kind of how capitalism works. It's like valuing us for our doing, like the things we achieve, right? And less about how we are and who we are and our being. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which, can get problematic if we're just busy. Let's do the things, let's achieve, let's whatever,
Yeah. And I think I have I try to be intentional about my relationship to productivity in that way. Because I think I can be a bit of a workaholic, and that used to be how much have I done today? That used to be much more in the capitalist sense, or the way that pressures us to be productive. And I think now it is much more, I want to do this. Like, I want to make the thing. I want to be working on these projects. And even if that means that sometimes I'm exhausted and tired, or missing a party, or, but it's not about, oh, well, I haven't been good enough at the thing, or I haven't achieved something. It's like, no, this is what I want to be doing.
That's great.
So I try to think about it more that way, if that makes sense. Because it's like the keeping busy to me is I try to not have it be the thing where like, oh, well, if you turn your brain off for a minute, then you'll have to actually like think about your feelings.
Yeah.
I try to just be like, well, this is how I want my life to look.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's almost like the keeping busy is sort of like this neutral freeway, and it's what we add to it, like what meaning we ascribe to it. So like, as you said, like it could look one way, and then it can also look the sort of more like bypassy way where we're just like, nope, I'm staying busy to shut down my feelings.
Yeah.
So speaking of feelings, we kind of talked around it a little bit, but like I want to like dig into it more explicitly, which is this idea around toxic positivity. You have, I think you've talked about this record in that context, mentioning toxic positivity. What does that mean to you? I mean, you've sort of mentioned it a little bit, but like, why is it an annoyance? Why is it maybe hard on you to see? How has it showed up for yourself even?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to that level of privilege and not wanting to have difficult conversations, not wanting to have to face your own emotions, not wanting to be vulnerable or cringy or something. And I think toxic positivity comes into it when it's the good vibes only thing. It's the I don't want to totally, shit talk the whole HSP thing, but I do think that there are people who make excuses for like not wanting to be there for their friends, or not wanting to be there through a difficult time, or it's just it's complicated, and maybe I'm not very good at talking about it all the time, just because I
it's messy.
It's one of those things that it when you see it,
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that there's the kind of like low level day-to-day just annoying version of it. And then there's the toxic positivity that's like maybe more religious folks being like, well, I don't believe in what you're doing, but I love you. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
It's there's a word for it. It's like
being a Midwesterner.
It's like spiritual bypassing.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think, especially on the record or in like the song Never Quite Kicks In, which is what I was like writing about in my newsletter when I brought up toxic positivity specifically, it looks like that a lot of the time. And this weird thing that's happening, especially now when people who are homophobic or transphobic and are actively supporting stripping away people's humanity say, oh, but I love you. Like, can we just like, meet with love here and like speak to each other with love? And it's like, no, the answer is no, we can't.
Yeah. You can't have both.
No, you can't. And I think that it blows my mind how some people can think that they can kind of agree to disagree their way out of some really terrible things.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of when I think about toxic positivity, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think of all that stuff too, and to me it's like it's a willful denial of reality. It's a willful denial of the parts of ourselves that could potentially dip our toe into an uncomfortable space.
Yeah.
And in a space where we may be changed, we may be confronted with our own bias, confronted with our own assumptions, confronted with a different perspective. And that type of positivity or bypassing is so damaging to self, certainly, but like the collective in general. It's especially damaging, as you know, to the most vulnerable.
Sure.
In our world. And that piece of it is I rail against often. Because really, like I want to show up as a whole person and meet people as whole people. And that means my own privilege. And that means like the intersectionality of my human experiences and the lived experiences of others and all of that stuff. Like that's all part of it and all valid and all needs to be looked at.
Sure.
And I think that's also like we have to practice that skill a little bit, right? Too. Like how do we even like, I mean, I know how I got into that space. Like I just simply fell into it because I was like a depressed teenager and I had to like find some new perspective or whatever. But if you are, if you grow up in evangelicalism, which I did actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I am no longer in that space. But if that's your world and the world is like be kind, like Hallmark sort of style and like, nope, I'm not going to think about that. Like how do you even reach that person?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Because I think I am interested though in having those conversations with that kind of person or someone in that position rather than just being angry at things like spiritual bypassing. Like I actually would want to would want to be able to have a conversation, whereas I think it just happens a lot where folks will do everything they can to not listen or not come to the table with an open mind. And I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah, it takes two. It takes like an open mind or an open heart on both sides of the situation. On social media, I was recently reflecting on an experience I had a few years ago with my mother, where just sort of out of the blue, she started, like yelling, where does your morality come from? And then it sort of devolved into like her just like diminishing me and my like, I talk a lot about my like childhood, which was like not always great on this show.
Yeah.
An abusive dad and all that stuff and having an eating disorder and almost dying and, self-harm and, all that stuff. And like, she can't take it. She like, and I get it. I understand that there may be a grief there, certainly, but like, she can't see the reality of that, right? Because it's too much. And so like this podcast, what I'm doing with my little business, Feely Human, her perspective is that it's a negative thing in the world.
It's like, why do you have to talk about that? Like,
why you have to talk about that?
Yeah.
And it's not like, it's not like, and I'm sure you've seen this too. It's like, I'm not like talking about it to like be in it all the time.
Right.
You
Exactly.
talk about it to move through it. And you also talk about it to connect with others, to allow others in, to empathize themselves, right? That's why you share stories. You're a storyteller. That's why you share stories, so others can be connected to it. So you can see themselves through your experiences. That's the beauty of like this human thing we do.
Yeah.
And to deny that is, I mean, to put it very gently, it's fucked.
Yeah. Well, and I would think that the way that you speak about your childhood or the way that people can process those sorts of things is not to direct anger or blame directly at your mom or any one person, or like that's not the point of those conversations.
No.
And I think it's hard for people to understand that as well. Like if they played a part in it at all.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, I don't, it's
hard to face. Like I've been saying in my community, being in connection with others, harm will happen. That's like an unavoidable thing. And what is beautiful about that, if we're open enough to it and we're connected enough and we're listening enough, when that happens, we could talk about it and be curious about it and be open about it and like have ourselves be accountable to that experience, the intent and impact of it. And I think, my mother or, certain family members or whatever, like there is a lot of like, that's not happening.
Sure.
And that, like, as you said, like I can only do so much. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not going to listen, then I can't make you listen. Then it becomes an exercise in like what makes me feel like I'm better than you. I'm righteous. I have the right perspective, which I don't want either.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's definitely the difficult thing. And trying to, just like trying to let people know that you do want to have a conversation, but sometimes it's not going to happen. But there was something just made me think of that, or when you were saying that, you know, when you're in relationship with people, like harm will happen, like conflict is normal. And I've just been seeing a lot more lately on social media about how like therapy speak being more accessible is also giving people a way to excuse themselves from bad behavior.
What's an example? Like, do you have a specific example you're thinking of?
I've seen it spoken about in the context of someone causing harm but then saying that it's asserting their boundaries, you know, or you know, just that kind of, or being able to better to more easily gaslight people by using therapy speak, by like, you know, talking about their feelings and boundaries in a way that puts the responsibility on someone else. That
you're
it just gets really
feel
tricky
this way, or it is tricky, and I've seen that too. Boundaries are a tricky thing, right? Because they're important, and I've seen them used as like a means to not address the real hard thing, or address the harm that's being caused, as you said. And that's not okay, right? All of these things, like, they require our whole curiosity, and that also means like how we're using them. The whole, like, you know, I started writing about my mental health about a decade ago, and maybe sharing 6 or 7 years ago on like social media and things like that. In the last few years, I have become a little bit more cynical about it, you know, certainly like quote unquote wellness world spaces and mental health spaces. And I think it's great to talk about our mental health. And I also see a lot of performance that can be harmful, and that can be certainly bypassing the whole, or bypassing our truth, or whatever it may be. It's why I'm like probably on my way out of social media, but it's just a big sigh. I want to like scream, because I have to be a part of it sometimes. But yeah, the whole like toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing, like, and the wellness space is like, it's just like, that's all it is mostly.
Yeah. And I've become a big fan of muting people.
It's a good strategy. I like that.
Yeah, and just sort of knowing what about social media can make myself spiral a little bit.
Yeah, it's smart.
But I also think that my cynicism and being pretty jaded comes out in my sense of humor. Like I turn to that a lot. Like I've gotten over the past like 5 or 10 years at this point. Like I really enjoy stand-up comedy.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is a total left turn. But
I'm here for it.
I feel like my way of processing a lot of what we're talking about ends up coming out in like a sense of humor in my songs and in my lyrics. That
I see that.
It's kind of snarky.
I definitely see the snark. The snark is on full display.
So it's like that's how I filter or, you know, funnel things into that, rather than getting too depressed about certain things. But
I always say silliness is an act of resistance.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
I like that.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite comedians?
Oh, good question. I really like, well, I really always liked Two Dope Queens.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I was at a lot of their first shows in New York, and yeah, so Jessica Williams and Phoebe Robinson. Because I feel I'm searching for like the newer names that I've been picking up on, but like Chris Gethard and Michelle Wolf, I have liked her comedy quite a bit, and Kyle Kinane just put out a special, and yeah, I don't know, like but yeah, so I watched Mae Martin's recent special and was very surprised by how much I identified with like 99% of what they were putting out there about life and their feelings and gender and all sorts of things. That was just really enjoyable for me to watch comedy like as a medium. I was like, oh, there's a reason I enjoy this so much.
There's a lot of crossover between comedy and being a musician or a songwriter.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm a big fan, and I had him on my show, Rory Scovel. Have you seen any of his stuff?
Yeah, I think very recently. Yeah,
he's hilarious and does a lot of shows in LA. And he actually has a podcast. You mentioned you listen to podcasts with another comedian, Daniel Van Kirk, and it's called Pen Pals. And what they do is they just like people write them letters, and then they read a couple of letters, and then they talk about it in hilarious ways. And they're both like so silly and like so feely and just heartfelt, and I love them both. Like I like a comic who can be silly and has a big heart.
Yeah.
And those two are definitely two favorites. I don't watch a ton of comedy, but like Rory Scovel, I'll watch. Ron Funches I like as well.
Yes. Yeah. And very super posy. Yes. Like really good vibes in a good way.
Good vibes. Yeah, 100%. For sure. A lot of like video game stuff and pop culture. Yeah. I know. We need to laugh because otherwise the hellscape will get us.
Yeah. I definitely think that's probably part of why I've been gravitating towards that in recent years. But yeah.
So I know you used to live in New York and now you're in LA. Like why'd you move? What was that about?
I just really like it out here. Right. It's really pretty bizarre that like I lived on the East Coast for most of my life, and I finally came out to California, and it was like, what was I doing? Why did I stay there for so long? I like the weather here a lot. I really like the city feels much less claustrophobic than Brooklyn does, and the creative vibe out here is a lot more collaborative, actually, and
I like that.
A lot less gatekeepy, which was not even necessarily a complaint that I had in New York. But being out here and seeing so many people be really excited and up for making things and working on new projects, and like we just made a couple music videos because some of my friends who happen to be very talented were bored. That's great. Yeah. They didn't have work that week. They were like, okay, cool, let's make some videos. And
that's fun.
It just feels really, really creative and really great out here. So I had the ability to move. Like I was at a point where I was like, I don't want to be in Philadelphia anymore. And if I don't move somewhere drastic now, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I came out here.
That's great. I love to hear that it feels and it is collaborative. I love collaboration. I feel like we're made better, brighter, better people by being in connection with other people.
100%. Thanks.
I saw you play this. It must have been like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe at this point, at the Glass House in Pomona, California.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And Camp Cope also played one of my favorites. R.I.P. Camp Cope. But I remember like there being like maybe 15 people there. It was like I was like surprised by like how few people were there. And also it was awesome. I loved it.
Thanks.
The only time I saw you live.
Yeah, I feel like there were more than 15 people there, but I know what you're talking about. And as soon as you said come on, I was like, that was a weirdly like not very packed show. And then we did play LA like the next day, which probably has something to do with it. But yeah, that was a fun tour. That was Camp Cope's first US tour.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, you're right. It was probably more than 15. It just felt like
I was like, oh God.
I was like in my feelings because I was like, oh, I hope they're not feeling let down by like the amount of people, because it just felt like I was like worried about you, I think.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, and those things are always weird, you know.
I guess you just have to, I mean, the show's booked, you just have to play, right?
Yeah. And I think also like we hadn't toured in a while, and we haven't actually, even still have not on our own like played California very much at all. So and especially like Pomona.
Yeah, Pomona. I'm just like an hour south of
nice.
LA, and I saw that you played, what was it, like one show like earlier this month in LA?
Yeah, I played a benefit show for the LA Zine Fest. I was at a bar in my neighborhood, actually, which is nice.
Are you going to do any other shows in LA area?
Yeah, hopefully soon. Soon. We're trying to get a full tour situation happening, but yeah, awesome. Well, 100%. If we don't play LA by the end of the year, I've done something terribly wrong.
Okay. All right.
It'll definitely happen. Southern California.
I did see Lucius live maybe a few months back up in LA. And then the last show before that was before the pandemic. Saw Against Me play. I know you're, Against Me fan. I saw them play 2 nights back to back. They played like 2 albums each night. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
That's cool. I'm kind of down like, why wasn't I at those? But yeah.
October 2019, I think it was.
Oh, I was probably on tour. That's probably why. Yeah. But yeah, no, they're great.
So your album, Warm Blanket, is out now. People can buy it, listen to it. Where can they go to do those things?
Well, they can probably most easily buy it via Bandcamp, or honestly, ask your local record store to get it. That's a very cool way to get it if they don't already have it. And we're on Spotify and Tidal and Bandcamp and all of those things as Warriors Music is the handle most of the time. Yeah. Well,
let's start wrapping up. We always wrap up the show talking about our empathy heroes. So folks in our lives who are empathetic, feely, compassionate, could be like characters from stories even, or movies. I'll go first to give you a moment to reflect on your empathy hero, Lauren. My empathy hero this week, 2 folks. I mentioned that I had just got back from Colorado visiting my friends Heather and Will. Heather is someone I met a couple of years ago online, and this was the first time seeing her and her husband Will in person. And I had some nerves for sure going into it because like I'm an introvert and I don't love flying. Previously mentioned fart coffin in the sky. And it was lovely. Like just such sweet, generous people, curious people, like ask great questions type of people. And just really grateful for both of them. Deeply empathetic people. And I'm grateful for Heather and Will, my empathy heroes this week.
Cool.
How about you?
They sound lovely.
Yeah.
There's definitely a friend of mine who has just like really gone out of their way to be very supportive and very like cheerleader-y for me, like without my asking. That has been really,
that's the best,
affirming and like, oh, this is friendship. Like it turns out, in a way, in a much more kind of day-to-day, super supportive, empathetic, also like setting expectations for other people in my life that like I maybe have not been good at, that I feel like everybody needs that friend that's like, that sucks. That shouldn't have happened. You deserve better than that. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Thank you.
For sure we need that, because otherwise we're like, we start to feel like we do deserve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're my empathy hero.
Did you mention the name? I mean, you don't want, if you don't
I kind of don't. I don't want to name them on podcast.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's wonderful. We need those people.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that, and it's hard to, like, friendships are hard, especially as you get older. I mean, you hear that. It's kind of a cliche at this point, but it's very true. They take pruning. They take like nurturing and vulnerability. Whereas like I think about like how we made friends as like kids, and it's just like, you like this toy, I like this toy, let's be friends. It's like you're swinging on the swing, I want to do that, let's do it together. And when you're an adult and you come with all this lived experience and faced with a hellscape that is living in the States or whatever, we need support.
Yeah
We need that mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It's crucial. Anyways, well, I'm grateful that you have them in your life.
Thanks.
Well, Lauren, thank you for doing this. This was lovely.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. You mentioned where to buy the record. Where can the listeners connect with you?
Definitely mostly through Warriors on social media. And then my newsletter is called Get It Together, which you can also find through the Warriors social media, but it's getittogether.laurendenitzio.com, which is probably too complicated to just remember and find on your own. But Get It Together is like the me/Warriors newsletter. So you can find it that way.
I love it. And listeners, those links will be in the show notes at feelyhuman.co. What a delight, Lauren. I'm grateful that you will be potentially touring in LA at some point. I'm grateful to listen to your record on vinyl, which I was this morning. I am grateful for you.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you having me. Thanks for having this.
It's my pleasure. And to you listeners, as I always say, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's you, me, empathy.